Speaking with Valerie Geler, who I came across the other day during a panel discussion on podcasting. Valerie is a communication specialist in terms of media, in terms of podcasting. What else?
What I actually do is train broadcasters and podcasters. So I work with talent, I work with producers, and I work with radio and television stations who are doing podcasting and broadcasting. And I work one-on-one, and we have a criteria to try to develop each talent to the next level so that they're never boring.
Oh, thank you. I'm curious about the title of your book, Beyond Powerful Radio.
Right.
So here's my first question. Is podcasting becoming more powerful than radio?
It's interesting because for a long time podcasting was emerging. You know, every time for the past 5 years you kept hearing people say, well, it's an emerging medium. It has emerged. You know, we have millions and maybe even 1 billion listeners to various podcasts. So it has emerged. There is money to be made in podcasting, and that means it's on the table. The two things holding podcasting back from bursting through and becoming completely mainstream are, the first is consistent aggregation, so that one place that you go to find all the podcasts you want to listen to. So between Google and NPR and all of the different ways you can get podcasts and find out about them, if there is one central place where people can get them, that will be a game changer. The second thing that we need is verifiable listening. And that's when the game will really change, when we have a way that everybody agrees on to measure who's listening to what and for how long. I know that NPR has developed a system that doesn't do that deep data dive where they just find out the IP number and how long you've listened and where you are. So that seems to me to be the most reasonable. It doesn't sort of suck all your data and all your personal information, which most people around the world do not really want to have that made available. So the minute they have consistent and agreed upon, you know, Google, Apple, NPR, BBC, everybody agrees on a system of measurement, and as soon as we have one place where everything is aggregated, the game will change.
You bring up a very good point. Seemingly, podcasting already seems to be a very, very crowded field. As a professor and as an academic person, how do I convince my students to engage in learning about podcasting and to actively become successfully involved in a field that is seemingly already so populated? How do they get an edge?
Jeff, the first thing with any podcaster is, do you listen to podcasts? And usually anyone who wants to do podcasting is a fan of one or two podcasts, and they listen to every episode and they love it. And something inside them says, I want to do this. A singer-songwriter, an actor, you should do this because you can't live without it, not because you can live with it. Do it because you're burning to do it. It's an art form. This is a new canvas. And if you burn to paint on this new canvas, go try it. And if you're doing something unique or interesting, and if you do it consistently over time, and if it catches on, and then you can market it, you can really grow a podcast. But the most successful podcasts that are on the air now have been on for years and years. So people are looking at overnight successes with This American Life or some of these big, huge podcasts, and they've been on the air for 20 years, and they've had radio as a driver to tell the audience where to go. The Serial, which really started the whole craze with podcasting generally, Serial had This American Life as a driver. So the first episode was actually on the radio, and then if you wanted more, you had to go to the podcast, and that's really how that developed. So for your students, my suggestion is find some podcasts that you love to listen to, that you lie awake at night and listen to, that you listen to when you're having time alone or jogging or whatever on your bike, and listen to what you like about those podcasts. One of the things about podcasting that's different than radio is that radio, about 50-60% of radio is listened to alone, but with podcasting, 99% of it is listened to alone. So you're in their head, and it's so intimate, and it's so personal, and it's so deep, and you can go deep. And the thing about podcasting is it's global. So I gave the analogy in the talk, if you have an overweight aging cat, you can find a podcast. So basically you take people's very special interests and things they are passionate about, and if they burn to do a podcast, I would encourage it. I wouldn't just encourage it across the board. You know, it's like writing short stories. Everybody can write them, but not everyone can do them well. And if you're going to succeed, you have to have really, really good product, really consistently over time, continue to produce it, and then market it well and let people know you're doing it.
Thank you. And one final question. In addition to the technical skills that
Yeah.
students have to acquire,
Yeah.
what other sorts of communication skills will they acquire, and what other sets of those skills might be transferable to other forms of media communication? Because our students today, they have so many choices.
We're in a
Broadcast
multi-platform,
journalism,
exactly.
social documentary, radio,
Yeah.
social media. Can you talk a little bit about
Sure.
how that investment might pay off in those other forms of media that they ultimately will most likely become involved with?
We're in a multi-platform society, so radio is TV because at a radio station there's video on the websites, and it's all print because everybody is writing text for online. It's all headline, it's all newspaper headline because we're tweeting. So every medium is bleeding into every other medium. Audio has imagination and intimacy. Video has pictures. Text has depth that you can get to in ways that you can't get elsewhere. And the headline gets the attention and is the grabber for the engage. So each individual medium has its own special things. If you can write, if you're interested and curious, if you're passionate about a subject or a topic, if you're a natural storyteller, you will find the right medium to tell your story.
Well, Valerie, thank you very much for your time. Deeply appreciate it. Good luck on your book. I
Thank you.
can't wait to read it, and hopefully it will be a
Do you know
required
it's
reading
free
for-
on Audible?
I
If
did
you're
not know
a
that.
member of Audible, there's an audio version. And for those who prefer to listen to this rather than read it, you can go to www.beyondpowerfulradio.com, and there's a click to link to the audiobook, or you can get the print book. But thank you very much. And
That's it.
again,
Thank
great
you.
to meet you too.
And it was nice to meet you, and have a great rest of the show.
Great. Okay, thank you. All
Thanks.
the best. Yeah, thank you too.